Hello friends! Today is another cooking video, but it's actually going to be informational and helpful. Not because I'm a great cook, I've actually never made chicken noodle soup before, which is what we're making, yeah! But also because the last 2 weeks I've made some major breakthroughs in terms of making the most of my gap year. I want to create a video sharing just how you can make the most of your CBYX exchange year. More likely if you're like a senior in high school or you're using this as a gap year between high school and university, because yeah, I never heard this and it's totally changed the game for me in approaching these next 5 months. So without further ado, let's get to the supermarket and get started.
I'm about to tell a story that I haven't yet. About the most intelligent woman that I ever met. She looked like Jackie on asses. Top of her classes, I'm doing my best, just passing by. I'm so funny in my body, I can barely walk. And I'm so full of them funny feelings that I could barely talk. And here comes Jackie on asses. Don't need to ask it, have you ever seen a woman so fine? She said, come on out, just a couple hours, we gonna have a real good time. And I tell her, where you going, where you going, where you coming home? Somebody in the front seat calls out everyone, we're wasting our time. Gotta hit the road and hit the road, hit the road. There they going, there they going. I was on my own. I ain't never spoke my mind up in a crowded place. I ain't got no cool demeanor and smooth talking ways, cause I ain't like taking on asses. Girls and sunglasses looking me up like I'm part of some.
Okay, so I know this video has been all over the place, but I'm currently on the Staffelsee Rundweg in Seehausen am Staffelsee on a run, and I'm gonna give you some context before I get into boredom while on CBYX exchange. I am a high school graduate. I was in the senior class of 2022. I'm from the greater Indianapolis area in Indianapolis, Indiana, United States of America, and I'm currently in Southern Bavaria on exchange with the CBYX scholarship program through the U.S. Department of State. Back in America, I did the IB diploma, the AP capstone diploma, internships, jobs, clubs, sports, really lived life at 110 miles an hour. And for those of you who are on CBYX exchange right now or are about to go on it and kind of relate to the way that I lived life all throughout high school, then you will understand that there's a big shock coming to Germany and attending German gymnasium. Yeah, your lifestyle completely changes, and a lot of people find themselves, just as I did, in the first few months experiencing extreme boredom. And at first, I was like, how can I cure my boredom? As if it was some sort of illness. But today, I'm going to give you some tips on how to utilize your boredom to get the most out of your gap year. And it's gonna look different for everybody, of course, but as someone who is about to attend university in literally like 8 months from now, I'm learning how to embrace this period that I'm in and not see unproductivity and not see rest as an inherently bad thing that needs to be fixed. But yeah, come along with me on my run. So I know this is like the weirdest setup ever, but the first thing I want to give context to is my situation. Like I said, I am a graduated high school student. So my time here in Germany, I have not been prioritizing schoolwork. I don't have to write tests. I'm very thankful that I don't have the pressure of needing grades or credits while I'm here in Germany. This is completely a gap year. And that's not to say I don't participate in school. I do. But another thing to also note is that German gymnasiums do not offer the same extracurriculars and outside of school opportunities as American high schools do. So with that being said, that has left me with a lot of free time. In general, these next suggestions are probably going to be contrary to what your organizing exchange program might recommend. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is truly embracing the fact that you have time. Taking a gap year before university, I think, is one of the most beautiful things ever, because this is probably the last long break of quietness and stillness that you are going to have before the next 10 years of your life. This is truly a break to recharge from high school and breathe before all the craziness begins. And so with that said, don't worry about being productive. Embrace soft hobbies. For me, this has been running, this has been embroidery, baking, going on walks with my host family, playing board games, things that I was too distracted to do in America. And I saw as unproductive. So definitely embrace these types of things and try to isolate yourself as little as possible. For me, I spent a lot of time in my room the first few months on exchange working on college applications. And in hindsight, I needed to do so in order to work and stay focused. But at the same time, it made me feel more bored. And disconnected from my family. And even now, just like reading in the presence of my host family when they're all reading in the living room has been a game changer. And I have come to really enjoy such soft hobbies.
Spoke my mind up in a crowded place. I ain't got no cool demeanor and smooth talking ways, 'cause I ain't like taking onasses. Girls and sunglasses looking me up like I'm part of some.
Okay, so I needed a way to transition from my internship over the summer, working 75 hours a week. And so one thing that I had to do, and this was for myself and also to keep me physically active, because I love nature. I need to physically move myself for my mental health and for my physical health, obviously. And so signing up for the Munich Half Marathon in October was a really great way for me to kind of have something to say, like, here's what, like, I can prove to myself that, like, without a test to be graded or without a job to earn a salary for, and like, yeah, I guess it was just proving to myself that, like, I can do things without an incentive. Like, this was something that I wanted to prove to myself, like, Faith, you can do hard things during this gap year. Like, you can teach yourself a new language. Like, you got this. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that, like, for you, if you are an upcoming CBYX scholar who is similar, who had a similar lifestyle to me back in America, it might help you to set a goal for yourself those first few months that, you know, you can say, here's what I did. I can prove to myself that I don't need a school. I don't need teachers. I don't need my parents to make me do things. I can do things myself. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that really helped me. Okay, so now we are personally at my favorite section of this run. Some poorly dressed spectator has something unkind to say. It comes back to me in the flashes. I get risky, there's a swing and a miss, and I'm all up. The next thing that I want to talk about is, in your downtime, prioritize learning the German language. And for me, the first few months, this definitely looked like a lot of self-study, vocab memorization, grammar. You can find so many videos on YouTube, but if you kind of want a more structured approach on how to study the language, I would definitely recommend signing up for a Volkshochschule course. As you can pretty much find any level, A1 through B2 of German as a second language. It's a state-sponsored center, essentially, for culture and language learning here in Germany. The exchange program that I am with, as well as the CBYX scholarship program, and my host parents, like, no one told me about this. I ended up finding it on my own, and it's something that I wish I knew existed earlier in my exchange year, because it really helped me, and it was awesome to be in class alongside American soldiers and Ukrainian refugees. Yeah, for anybody coming to Germany, whether you're on the CBYX scholarship or not, like, definitely take one of these Volkshochschule courses. Again, I want to preface, I had absolutely no German language experience. I did Spanish for 6 years in America. Within the first 3 months, doing self-study and figuring out that course, I became conversational very quickly. The third thing I'm going to recommend is getting involved in your exchange years, social scene outside of your host family and outside of your school. For me, this happened kind of naturally because I just honestly didn't feel connected very much to all my classmates, being that I'm almost 19 years old and all my classmates are 16, 17. I do have friends. Like I have people that I hang out with and stuff, but I will say it's really special to get engaged in your community beyond what's comfortable and to like go out there on your own. So for me, this was going to my evangelical church in my village because my host family's not religious and my friends at school are also not practicing Christians like I am. And so this was a time for me to like really get engaged in my community outside of anyone that I really had befriended and spoke English. And so this was like my own endeavor that put me in proximity to German grandmas and little kids, people that I'm not exposed to at school or within my host family's friend group. So that was a very cool cultural learning experience, as well as attending a Lutheran church, because in America I'm a non-denominational Christian, so this was completely like new to me and a very integral part of Germany's culture and history. Don't mind the horse in the back, but I think this brings me to my next point, which is actually why I wanted to make this video in the first place, and that is taking advantage and realizing the potential of where you are in the world. Germany is a leading innovator in literally every single industry, and I am particularly fascinated by international relations and history. So being on a gap year before university, and this is what I want to study in university, I was like, you know what? In a year from now, I don't want to look back at the fact that I was a 45-minute train ride from Munich and a 45 train ride from Garmisch-Partenkirchen and say, oh my gosh, why didn't I contact this group? Or why didn't I get involved at this institution? So in the last month, I have definitely embraced the mentality of shoot your shot. And this is like why I wanted to make this video, because I have received really nothing but positive feedback, opportunities for myself out of embracing this mentality. And when it comes to making the most out of your gap year or exchange year with CBYX, both professionally and educationally, I definitely believe this is the way to go. And here's what it is. I keep talking about it, but I'm not actually like saying what I did. I sent probably a total of 45 emails after doing some research on the German American institutions, the military bases, the universities, and the German American think tanks and businesses near me. In doing so, I have been able to attend seminars and conferences and take tours at the George C. Marshall Center for International Studies in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, the NATO School in Oberammergau, which is like the hub of intelligence and army training for NATO here in Europe. I have been able to also attend the Munich Security Council, or the Munich Security Conference for Youth, which there's speakers from Kamala Harris to Chancellor Olaf Scholz. And all of these opportunities came my way, not through my Youth for Understanding exchange program, not through the CBYX scholarship or my host family or my gymnasium, but solely because I shot my shot. And I believe any CBYX scholar can do so. Here in Germany, the CBYX scholarships counterpart, PPP, has a lot more professional and academic cred than it does in the United States. And I believe that despite, for example, the George C. Marshall Center mandating that you must have a bachelor's degree or a military ranking to engage with their institution, I was able to tour because CBYX got me in the door. The name, the title got me in the door. And I guess that's what I just want to kind of preach from the pulpit about, is for all of you who are in my position and are like, listen, I'm kind of sick of German gymnasium. I'm kind of sick of feeling like a 14-year-old again when I'm literally going to be on my own at college or university next year. I feel like this is for you, because don't feel so limited in what other people are offering you. You can make your own opportunities. I mean, I have a lot of privilege because of the location that I'm in. The fact that I am so close to amazing German American institutions and a NATO base. Like, okay, not everywhere in Germany are you 30 minutes away from a NATO base. So with all that said, I really just want to encourage you guys, if you do feel bored, to look around and do research, figure out who and what is going on around you, and get involved.
Evening when she found me, eyes in pieces, crying hard into my head. She tell me, Mama, you look lovely when you take the stand. And I tell her, no promise ever been so kind to me, and I'll thank you for that. Said, here you go, and here you go, here you go. Took her hair out the bowl.
Another thing that I want to talk about is this is for my American university applicants. Well, first off, you have the beauty and the blessing of time. So approach your college applications not as something to rush through and to get over with. It's kind of a really cool reflective process. Edit your essays, get your recommendation letters early, apply to scholarships, and really get started probably in August when you first arrive, just staying in contact with your school guidance counselor so that they don't forget about you, because that can be a huge issue that some of my friends ran into actually this year. But also, this is more something to do outside of your actual essay writing and the application itself. I would recommend to do some research on the schools that you applied to. Find out if they have study abroad programs to Germany. If so, try to get in contact with the faculty, students who are currently on exchange, who are within proximity to you while you're here. Go and get coffee with them, network, and of course, also do some research on the universities you apply to and see if they have alumni clubs or programs in a big city near you in Germany. For example, the Yale and Harvard clubs in Munich are extremely active. So despite them having a private Facebook group, I emailed the organizer and I was like, hey, this is my situation. I am a prospective student, and can I attend your conference, your meeting that you're holding in March, and get a better feel for the school and what you guys are working on here in Munich? And they were like, sure. So this might be more particular to Berlin, Munich, some of the bigger cities in Germany, but regardless, ask.
She carries herself right, she's singing now. She's the first lady to walk me through the night. I'm singing now. Oh, play, play, play.
Another thing you can do, and this is outside of reaching out to your domestic US universities, look up in your home state if there is in my case, Indiana German Association. In Indiana, there is, and they've been really cool because they have an ongoing blog and they celebrate a lot of different Bavarian holidays. So I've just gotten in contact with them saying like, hey, is there any way that I can get involved with you while I'm over here in Germany? Like, I want to become more involved when I return back to the States because I see that your German culture that you're fostering is like actually really cool. I don't know. And so that can always give you something to do, whether it's just scheduling interviews or writing articles, having like projects that you can work on kind of as your own personal homework outside of school can be really helpful. And at least for me, it's been a really cool way to reflect on what I've been learning and to share more about my experience here, to share more about Germany and the CBYX program back home. Okay, so I'm gonna end this video here, but let me know in the comments if there's any subjects you want me to go more in depth. I'm already planning on making videos about language learning and spiritual development as a Christian here in Germany. But yeah, I guess feel free to ask any questions. And if I could leave you just with one thing to remember, if this is all you take away from the whole video, is that you are going to be bored in Germany on your exchange. It's gonna happen. And if you haven't felt bored in a really long time, it's gonna seem really overwhelming like it was for me. But you have options, and don't be limited to what your school, to what your exchange program, to what CBYX, or to what your host family offers you. You can do this, you got it, and I hope I gave you some ideas as to how you can make the most of your boredom during this gap year.